is going to take off with Fiji. And to add to that, one small thing I would like to make an add, the technology makes the difference. Like you said, technology is also a leveler, and technology is something which the government knew nothing about it. That's why this IT grew. And similarly, if the laws become less complex, I think the industry will also grow, and we can have good governance if this takes place.
No, you're so right. Delighted to hear you're doing this, investor meet, because I think you need, as I said, to promote the place for this kind of industry. It is seen as a great place for tourism, but it's not been actively promoted for anything else. So this is very good news. I would urge you to continue to do that. The other thing to do is, and I'm not giving this as a recommendation, but just as an example, and many of you would have the influence, senior people from the government must go, and this is a radical transformation. The states that made a leeway in the late 90s and early 2000s, the states with the senior most people from that government, Chief Minister, the Chief Secretary with the team, went to the big companies and sat with the CEO in their office. It's a complete transformation of how things used to work in India, and said, look, we want you to come, we are willing to give you all the facilities, tell us what you need, we will see if we can meet them. And now I can mention names. This is what Chandrababu Naidu, Hyderabad didn't exist on the IT map, didn't exist. He brought it there by doing this. He went to every company personally with a team of his senior administrators and tell me, I want you to invest in Hyderabad, tell me what you need. And he would on the spot say, this is possible, this I can't do, but I'll see what I can do. Your question on power is true, but in Gurgaon, which is a big center for the IT industry, there's no power for 8 hours a day. So these are useful things, but if there are other countervailing things that are positive, you can overcome them. So don't worry so much about the constraints, which some of them are unfortunate but realistic. But look at what you can do to promote it. And I would urge you, I'm so delighted that you're taking this up. You've got to really push, because as I said, I repeat, it's a very competitive environment. Goa has some unique advantages, but every state is trying to push its advantage. And so you've got to be there up front and get things there. The other thing to do is to tap into a few people. I'm sorry, I'm giving you concrete suggestions, but just based on my experience, tap into people who have some connection in this state. Somebody who studied here, somebody who's from Goa, somebody who's got a mother-in-law here.
We have your predecessor Ashank Desai. He is promoted.
I just want to tell you, Ashank, as you know, is very much from here. So those are people to tap into. This is what I can tell you the story of Jaipur. The chief minister at that time, which was Mrs. Raje, she was very, very keen. And I told her, look, Jaipur will not take off because it's seen as a non-English place, unlike Goa. And this perception, wrong or right, they don't know English. You have to overcome it by somehow doing something special. So she said, what? I said, next time you go to the US, I will help you arrange a meeting of people who are alumni in some way from Rajasthan. BITS is in Pilani. BITS has produced Get People. You organize that. She did that. She went to Silicon Valley, did a get-together of BITS alumni. She did a pitch to them. She comes across very well. So that's important too, as being genuine. And some of them got interested. Not all, but one or two began. And then the spark began to become. So think a whole variety of things. But I would urge that if you want to do this, and I am very keen that Goa do this, because this is the right industry for Goa. Don't get into anything else. You need employment, you need other things than tourism, but don't get into something that makes Goa worse than what it could be. This is a good industry. You create right things there. So please keep at it.
Mr. Ramdurai and Mr. Ramanan, they were selling Goa more than me.
That's good. That's the way to do it.
Did you consciously avoid talking about Nilekani's UID? What's your pick on relevance of UID to organize?
No, I account they should accept UID, and that's been a major breakthrough. I am a great enthusiast for UID. Just as a footnote, though, I should add that I have some concerns, and I worry about what it can do. This data is leaky. First, the government itself is something which all of us as citizens should be a bit wary about. Any government. This government is very good. You have democracy today. But if you have a government which has data from the UID, once you have that, all your data can be correlated. Where you went, what you bought, and increasingly as you get to online transactions and cards and so on, the traceability of your full history. I've read some very nice so-called novels which are real-life stuff on this, which can tell you your whole history of everything, of what you did. And there's some concerns about where that data is, how it will be used, will it be misused, and if not from within arms of the government, will it leak to some private party who can get that data, one part. Second concern on the UID, and I do want to share this since you asked this question. Very often when you do, say, an online transaction, your password, your PIN code, whatever, so you do it. If you worry it's compromised, or if it is compromised, you change it. Now, if the thing is UID dependent, you can't change your fingerprint, you can't change your iris. So if that somehow gets hacked into, what will you do? Tell me, you can't change that. So you have serious concerns about what might happen there. Now there are correctives, I'm not getting into the long story, but I want to tell you that while I'm a great enthusiast and it can do phenomenal stuff, we need to be a little careful with regard to privacy and how that data is protected and so on. Nandan is well aware, and on top of this, I'm confident that you will handle it. But otherwise, I think it's a great thing, the kinds of things it can do. You will begin to see that happening now over the next 4 or 5 years. We've gone through some ups and downs, some hiccups on National Population Register versus UID. I think we get over those. Once it rolls out, you will see it's going to be something really great.
What little good it can do to affluent people? You can enumerate 2 or 3 key points.
You know, for the affluent, I don't see it doing too much of.
But it can do a lot of wrong.
But no, it can do some wrong. No, I tell you the simple thing for the affluent people. I mean, many of us sometimes curse this when you're in a hurry. You walk into an airport, first gate, he says ticket, this is ID. So you show it there. Then you go to the next place, again, you're checking in, he says ID, you give it there. Now, if you had, you know, imagine you walk in, you just put your fingerprint there, recognize it, you walk. Because it correlates the fingerprint, you're having done a booking, checks it online, checks you're not cancelled your ticket, that you're a genuine passenger, you're going straight away. So lots of such examples of where convenience can come for those who are the affluent. Many other areas, but it can come. But concern for the affluent, and that's why, you know, I won't mention names, but I can tell you one of them. Nandan told me, your concerns about privacy and all are very good, yeah, this is a middle class concern. So that poor guy was nothing. This is fantastic. And I said, I agree with you fully. He's not worried about privacy at this moment. He's worried about, can I open a bank account? Can I get my ration card thing without somebody cheating? For things which I didn't give examples, and obviously you're knowledgeable, you know. For all subsidies, this is fantastic. All the leakages which we do is stopped to 95% level. Whether it's for kerosene or for ration shop food, because you know this is the person who's come. And you know subsidy is required, he will pay the full amount. The difference will be transferred to his bank account. That's it. The shopkeeper doesn't enter the picture. Nobody can cheat. No food grain will disappear. So it can do phenomenal things.
In terms of technology, there are many solutions known, whether from other states in India or from around the world. What is preventing, let's say, a state like Goa from adopting, you know, what's been done well in Punjab or Madhya Pradesh? And coming from the corporate sector, I mean, it's a little bit surprising because, you know, if any of these were companies, they would have long, you know, collapsed because other places would have, you know, beaten them. The second is, why doesn't any state or the center have a CIO or some equivalent of a CIO in place? Because this is clearly going to be transformative to every single government.
The one genuine part of it is that state laws differ state to state, so they have to tweak it. But you're absolutely right, the software is being reinvented in every state. Part of it is vested interest, very frankly and bluntly. Part of it is a not invented here syndrome. So why should I take it from him, you know, I'll do my own. And part of it is the central government's unwillingness, which some of us have tried to push to really push down this. You know, in some other areas, they have said, look, this central scheme will give you money, provided you do 1, 2, 3, 4. So very simple thing. You have got a national e-governance program, you said this, we're going to fund the states for a network, for a statewide area network, for data centers. We will do that, provided you take this software for land records from this state, you take this for RTO licensing from this state, you take this from this state, it's all ready-made and there, no charge, just take it and use it. They have not been willing to push that because of all those sensitivities, but there are undoubtedly vested interests that always come in the way of this. So your implied question of why it's not happening is absolutely right. It's slowly happening in some areas, but very slowly. If you pick the best, you know, as I said, if you pick the best of class from just states in India, forget going outside the country, you can transform this country today. Because there are examples in one state or the other, maybe in one district where some excellent work has been done, 80% of which can be transferred straight away. 20% may need some tweaking, but somehow we are not in a mode of doing that in a whole host of areas. So the question is absolutely right on that.
But can't you do benchmarking?
No, it can be done. There's nothing, you know, I should rightly imply, companies do this all the time because they will not survive without this. You know, if I know some companies are doing some good work, if I don't do it, I'll lose out in competitively. I just have to do it. So states that are competing, the reverse of your question, we talked earlier about IT. You know, states that were competing to get IT investment did exactly this. And I can tell you again, I'm not trying to upon him, but because he was so successful, Chandrababu Naidu, when I first met him, he told me, please tell me what the other states are doing to attract IT investment. And I, as NASSCOM, shamelessly used it because I told him everything and he went one more. And then I went to West Bengal and said, Andhra is doing all this, you want investment, you do one more business. So it can be done in certain areas, but in areas where there are strong vested interests, it's a game that goes on in our democracy, it's the pulls and pressures of things. I'll give you another very simple example, a little different but a very simple example. The Delhi Municipal Corporation, this was 3 years ago, the Municipal Commissioner told me they had 48,000 Safai Karmacharis, which are, sweepers in common parlance, on the roads. And he told me, I know that at least 10,000, probably 50,000 don't exist at all. Somebody asked from the NREGA. Forget NREGA in rural India, this is Delhi city, capital of this country. The Municipal Commissioner is telling me that at least 10, maybe 15,000 of those 48,000 people don't exist. They're paid a salary every month. So simple solution, biometric, put the record, and pay accordingly. Very simple solution. No great technology, no great invention required. You don't even have to write software. You just take it and put it there. Just not doable. Just not. So many vested interests all the way up and down the line who kept blocking it. With great difficulty, many years later now, they've been able to weed out some of them slowly, systematically, steadily. Mr. Chidambaram, Home Minister, otherwise a strong person, tried to introduce in the Home Ministry this thing of getting a biometric when you come in and go out. And he couched it very well. He said this is for security. Basically to check timing. And it checks when you go in and come out. Amount of resistance, and that thing would always break down. Always, it's out of order. I told you about integrity, very simple. You saw it out. So, hate to give negative examples. Your point is very well taken. And again, I don't want to make too much of it because it is happening, but happening very slowly. And people like me at my age are impatient. I want things to happen now. You younger people can afford to be patient. I can't be patient. Then I have to tell people that it's a 5,000-year-old country, so what is 1 year here or there. But to me, I said, for my life, 1 year is a huge amount. I can't afford that kind of thing.
How it can be effectively used in the good governance?
There's a lot of uses being done for SMS now, to your question on good governance. One is simple things like data collection. Now, one of the things being used, we talked a little bit about right to education. And again, you may use it, misuse it. One simple thing they're doing is, has a teacher come to school today or not? Because the serious problem in rural India is because the teachers get good high-paid government jobs, they take them, but they don't live in that place, they live somewhere else. So they don't come every day. Or they come when the bus comes and goes. The bus timing doesn't match with the school timing. These are realities of rural India. The poor teacher also, what does he do? He has to come by bus, he doesn't have a car. He comes when the bus comes, goes when the bus goes. If the bus comes at 10 o'clock, he comes at 10, and the bus goes at 3:30, he goes at 3:30. The school may be 9 to 5. So getting at least this data, saying is he there or not, one kind of thing. Other thing is to send out things to citizens. You get your data, track something online, you applied somewhere and you want information. It can come automatically. And some of us get those kind of alerts from other things, including private commercial things. You get stuff on, today many people have stock market alerts, which gives you the price of your stock if you're tracking it. But you can get agricultural price alerts, possibly. You can get weather alerts. And some of these are actually being done, and in India, I want to keep saying that, but they're all being done in small, private scale, here in this pocket, there in that pocket. And some of them are working very well. Now, hopefully, as they begin to work, we can roll them on to other parts of the country. But there are many, many uses of this kind that go on. And we are very inventive. I talked about it in a negative way, but we are inventive. So you will see a lot of things coming up on SMS. One constraint of SMS which was there till recently was need to read the text. First, many years back, the constraint was text only in English. Now you get Indian language text. But even now, constraint is reading. But now, the last few years, you've got very good systems which are cheap and inexpensive to convert text to voice. So you can get it on SMS and hear it. So I think that will also take care of it. So lots of these things are happening. As we go off, just want to make one final comment again on talking about governance and how technology, a lot of you asked about technology and what it's doing. And many of us look to the West for technology and so on. But I always want to remind people in the context of our talk of corruption and so on, I want to end on this note, you might say. Many of you would have seen government files. I don't know they yet exist with green pages, voting pages, green paper. I'm sure it's not using that green paper very often. And all the notes are written on that and it goes up and down the hierarchy. Now, one of the things that was standard was to say, this is approved. sometimes not approved. So one of the typical cases which I've heard of is somebody wrote not approved. Now what do? So India is very good. That's why I said of technology and all these new things in the West. They talk of e-commerce. We invented e-commerce many years ago. Many years ago, somebody got this note paper with not approved written on it and added an E after the not. Not approved. That's e-commerce for you. E-commerce in the best sense of that term.
Thank you, Mr. Karnik, for the most wonderful talk and the interaction after that. Finally, it boils down to that technology is a double-edged weapon, and finally it is driven and it is used by human beings in the era where the person who's using technology is a human being, and that's where ethics and accountability, transparency come in. Thank you very much. And as a token of appreciation, may I ask Mr. Rane to please give this. Thank you to listeners and staying here for so long. Thank you very much.